Hi, my name is David Bentley. I am an associate professor at the College for Creative Studies in Detroit. I work with the games, animation, and concept design students. I'm also a designer at Ford Motor Company. I want to talk a little bit about design principles. So a principle is a truth. And usually when you begin a design, you think a lot about the story, like why and what that character is doing to support the story. The forms, you want to look at the gesture. Do you want something static or something that's exaggerated and accelerated and interesting? Do you want strong lines or weak lines? I began this project working on a t-shirt, and so I came up with a lot of ideas quickly. Did I want a fast car, a fun, crazy little sketch, or what? And then once I had some ideas, I went back to the drawing board and started thinking about shapes. What kind of shapes convey the meanings that I want to explore? Do I want horizontal, very stable lines, or do I want things that are a little bit unstable, a little bit aggressive? I wanted to look at proportions and what kinds of things would not make this car, boring and static, but actually interesting. So one of the things that most people don't think too much about is the blends of the surfaces, the secondary surfaces. So to kind of go over that, I thought I'd just draw this out. There's three different ways to look at blended surfaces. One is positional, where these surfaces just basically just go right up against each other, and it can look kind of like sheet metal. It can be very cheap. It can also end up being very interesting in like a stealth fighter or precision cut diamond. The secondary way is kind of a tangent edge, and this looks very man-made. It can be very military, and you see a lot of military vehicles have this kind of quality to them, especially in sci-fi. And the third way would be this curvature look, where you have a lot of flowing lines. It's much more natural. You find a lot of beauty. You find luxury and sports vehicles can have a lot of this kind of a look to them. And I thought I would just do a little bit of shading here to show you how simple that can be. When you have a value change, it equals a bit of a form change, and you can see that very easily here. And I just put kind of a light hit on the upper surfaces. When I create a vehicle, I like to start in the side view, generally, and just do a bunch of quick, sketchy lines. I'm looking for line continuation, I'm looking for proportion, and something that might be interesting. Once I finally find something like that, then I go back in and start to clarify what those lines are in another layer. And Sketchbook Pro is fantastic for this. It just gives you the line quality and everything you need to just be free. Feels like paper. I thought I'd play around a little bit with the proportions. What if I warped it? And at the end of the day, I like this kind of back where I started, right here in the back. So I decided to go with this look. And to do this, or this basic look, I thought I'd go use Sketchbook Pro, and I thought I'd just show a couple of the features here. There's layers. There's a bunch of the kind of tools you'd hope and expect to find in here. You can have this steady stroke. You can play with like rulers, ellipses. It has perspective guides, perspective grids, and those can be incredibly helpful. And everything's just kind of been simplified and made for the use of an artist. So one other example of this is Radial Symmetry, which is really fun. Basically, you just turn it on and make things happen. Clearly, that's going to be helpful when I get into wheels. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to jump out and kind of go right into the sketch I did for the t-shirt. And basically, it's just this. It's just taking one of those thumbnails that I had drawn earlier and going over the top of it and just creating nice lines. I like to use clean lines. Sometimes I'll turn on the steady stroke to tighten things up, but mostly I just like hand sketching it. There's a bit of an elegance and gestural quality that really is nice. Now I did take this and try to do a little bit of shading, not much, but just enough to kind of see the form. And at the end of the day, it's going to be on a t-shirt, so I threw this away and decided to go and use a maybe white stroke over dark shirt. And rather than just inverting it, I thought I'd just redraw it and see if I could come up with something a little bit looser. So in doing this, a couple things that I want to mention. When you do a vehicle sketch, you can cheat some things. So you push the wheels way out to the left and right to give it a stability over the wheels. And I also had the opportunity to do a little bit of cross-hatching, and I like to put a section through the back of the vehicle and use the door cut lines as another section to show off the form of the vehicle. So that's kind of what I did for this t-shirt design, but I wanted to kind of go over one or two other things here. One, if you want to throw a little bit of an environment in, try to match the perspective. This didn't quite feel right, so then I decided to warp it. And it's just hills with a road and some clouds that kind of are gestural along with it. So here I am using some of the perspective guides and ellipse guides in Sketchbook Pro. And it is a great way to quickly know that you're nailing your perspective. And, even with this, I'm noticing that I didn't quite feel great about this view. So I threw it away and decided to lower the horizon line. So now the horizon line is going through the back of the vehicle. Still using ellipse guides, still using the perspective grid, but now I can just kind of get in and manually just start throwing lines around and try to get this wagon look to come off a little bit more aggressive than I had in the last sketch. So it all kind of boils down to tightening things up and just kind of being thoughtful about your shapes, thoughtful about your design principles as you build things up. And here's some other examples. Sometimes I like to take things all the way to paint and just see what I can get out of it. If I know I'm going to go into 3D, I'll do some quick sketches like this and then bring it right out and start building that up in a 3D application, whether it's sculpting or modeling in Maya or something. I also like to do a lot of creatures. I like to do characters and just have a good time. I love doing that. It's one of my favorite classes to teach at CCS. So I hope you enjoyed this. You can always visit me on my art station at David Bentley. Have a great day. Thank you for watching.